safari at the Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Garden. My name is Colleen, and I'm here with Alicia as well. We are trainers for the Cat Ambassador program. So we're considered animal trainers and zookeepers, and this is one of our animals that we take care of every day. This is Remus. Remus is a domestic dog. So he is just like your dog at home, but he has a really special role at the zoo. And I would love to talk to you guys during our home safari, not only about our domestic dog, but also about our domestic cats at the zoo as well, because they have really important and special jobs at the Cincinnati Zoo. And also because today is Adopt a Shelter Pet Day. So that's always really fun and something we love to talk about, and something that's really special to Remus because he was a shelter pet as well. So I'm going to give you a little background about Remus, tell you a little bit about some animal training and work that we do with him, and then we're going to meet our feline domestics as well. So Remus here is about a year old. He was born here in Ohio, and when we had our youngster cheetah named Chris, we knew that Chris needed a companion. Now, there were no companion youngsters for Chris that were also cheetahs. So we said, well, the closest thing to that could be really fun and lots of energy is going to be a domestic dog. So we went to our local shelter. We actually went to the Animal Rescue Fund in Amelia, Ohio. And that's where we found Remus as a puppy. He was a youngster. He was the last one to be adopted from his litter, and he just stuck out to us. He was so cute. He had great energy, really good personality, very playful, and those are all wonderful qualities when picking out a cheetah best friend. So he came here to the zoo where he lives full-time. We get that question a lot. Does he come home with one of us? Does he live here at the zoo? He actually lives full-time and shares a bedroom with his cheetah companion, Chris. And he has been a really great member of our zoo family ever since. Now, what you see Alicia and Remus working on is some basic training. We call that operant learning. Sometimes it might be referred to as operant conditioning or positive reinforcement. Basically, all it is working with your animal, kind of having a good communication with them about what you want to see, what behaviors you want to see. And then, to make sure it's nice and fun and positive, they get tasty treats afterwards. So Alicia is using that clicker. You might hear some clicks during this video. That's basically a tool, that's a communication tool to let Remus know that what he did was good. And then you'll see he gets some of his favorite snacks. Alicia, what's he getting today? Let's get a peek at that.
Some, delicious salmon jerky.
Salmon jerky, yum.
Oh, and grass is apparently tastier.
He's also just having fun. He's still a puppy. So a lot of his day is spent having a lot of physical activity. This, as well as toys that he gets, is going to have a lot of mental stimulation and mental activity. And because he's a dog and he's a social creature, having a lot of social time is really important too. So not only does he spend a lot of time here at the zoo with his companion cheetah best friend, he also spends a lot of time with us, his keepers and trainers, and our other domestic dog we have in our program named Moose, who you might have seen on social media as well. All right. Remus is doing super good in his train and play session with Alicia, but I think they're going to go and see if we can get him back home and bring out our next domestic animal. And so in the meantime, I want to see if you guys have any questions about Remus. So it looks like we have a few written down.
Yeah, Haley wants to know, what kind of breed is Remus?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question, Haley. What breed is Remus? What are we even looking at there? We actually always just said he's a good boy. We didn't know. He's a mutt. He's a big mix of a lot of different things. We were really fortunate enough to have a DNA test used for him, and we found that he is a mix of Shepherd, Shih Tzu, Yorkie, Chow, and Wild Dog. So that's quite a mix, but he's still 100% good boy.
Peyton asked, does he have a favorite toy?
He does have lots of favorite toys. Some of his favorite toys are puzzle feeders, or ones where he really has to engage his mind. He loves figuring things out that give little treats as rewards. And some of his absolute favorite toys are his stuffed animals that he likes to carry around and then sometimes rip up a little. That's a great question. Looks like one more and then we'll see what our house cat's doing.
Chad wants to know who his favorite keeper is.
Chad, what is his favorite keeper? I will tell you one thing, Remus loves everybody, not even just his keepers. He loves every single person that he meets. He loves all of the zoo staff. I don't think that he has a favorite keeper, even though I wish it would be me because he's so sweet.
I'm gonna ask you one more because I think this is a great question. Do certain breeds make better cheetah companions?
That's a great question. Do certain breeds make better cheetah companions? And the answer is not necessarily. We don't go off breed. We go off of things like size, which can be tied to breed, but we want to make sure that we have a comparable size for our cheetah companion animals. Having a 100-pound cheetah and a chihuahua might be awkward once they get to be a little older. Another thing that we look for is energy level and temperament. We want a really even-tempered dog, not a dog that's really dominant or strong-willed. And we know from lots of breeds that can be something that's breed-specific, but not always. There's always outliers, so we don't always just go off of breed. And then one other thing that we look for is energy level. We want a good high-energy dog because we love to see our cheetahs and their dog companions spend a lot of time getting lots of good exercise and play in. All right, looks like we have our second domestic animal here. This is Elsa. Elsa's our domestic house cat, one of 4 we have in our program. So we have 4 domestic house cats in the Cheetah Encounter program. Sometimes we do have them at our Kroger Cheetah Encounter that we have during normal summers, where they are doing behaviors to show off their natural abilities and also, of course, to show off how cute they are.
Where are you going?
And what you see Alicia and Elsa doing is some of that same training. She's getting treats and working with Alicia on some of her behaviors that she's learned, but she's a little distracted too because there's a phone here, there's the breeze, there's the fresh grass, which we all know cats love to play in. So she's having a pretty good training session with Alicia. You'll also notice she's on a leash, which is not always very common to see with house cats, but we find that it's a really interesting way to get them engaged in new and novel spaces like yards, backyards. Some cats enjoy actually having the physical activity of going on a walk. And it's also a really safe, not only for the cat, but also for our local wildlife that we try to protect while having our house cat companions investigate new spaces. Some cats might not like being on a harness or a collar and a leash, but we find that with a lot of this type of good, positive association and training, that eventually not only do they not mind it, they actually sort of like it. They know that this is the time that I get to go into a fun new space. I get to get some treats and I get to have some fun time with my human, just like you see Elsa doing here.
That's not it. Ready? Let me try again.
Now Elsa has a pretty interesting story. If you guys follow our zoo's social media and blogs, you might even remember reading about her. She was actually born in a laboratory here in our crew department at the Cincinnati Zoo. But just like a lot of domestic cats, other than her origins, she's pretty much just a normal cat. And having domestic house cats in your home can be really, really fun and really a great way to interact with animals. So there's tons of animals that are in your local shelters, both dogs and cats, that need forever homes. And also fostering animals that are in shelters and rescue organizations can be a great way to get these fun creatures interactive in your life. Teach them the skills that they need to be good companion animals. Get them used to the sights, sounds, and routines of everyday life. Fostering can be a really great way to do that on the short term and help out lots of animals. And then adopting them as a part of your family forever can be really important as well. Let's see if we have any questions about the cat. Tons of questions about the cats coming in. So I want to try to answer some of those as you watch Elsa continue and finish our training session. What do we got?
Nathan wants to know what the wand is used for.
Ah, Nathan, you see our training wand. So that right there is what we call a target stick. Target sticks don't have to be anything fancy, but this one's really nice because we can change the length of it, and we also have that clicker right attached to it. But basically what it is it's a marker that the cat knows that if she touches her nose to it, then that's the behavior we want to see, and we can train the starts of lots of different behaviors with that. So it's just a training tool, and it's it's really something that Elsa knows really well. In fact, you can see her trying to cheat. She's trying to bring it to her with her paw. That's cheating, Elsa. No fair. What else we have?
Taryn asked, how do we name the animals here?
Darren, that's a good question. How do we name the animals? Well, sometimes it's what the keepers like. Sometimes it has a very special meaning to not only the keepers, but also the zoo community and zoo family that we have here. For Elsa, we wanted to give her a name that was associated with the Frozen movies because she was a frozen embryo. We thought that was really cool. Some really cool science stuff being done in our crew labs. Sometimes we have naming contests, which is how Remus got his name. All of you guys participated and voted online as to what you thought his name should be, and I think it fits him just right. You guys did a good job on voting for Remus's name. So there's all different types of ways that animals get named all around the zoo.
Emma wants to know, does Elsa ever get to play with the cheetahs?
Oh, Emma, does Elsa get to play with the cheetahs? The answer is no, and that's because I don't think either of them would enjoy that type of interaction at all. I don't think there'd be any play. To be honest, I think both of them would be very, very scared. Cheetahs are big scaredy cats, and a cheetah is much larger and can be pretty dangerous for Elsa. Although the cats and the dogs do play. So we have Remus and our other companion dog Moose, and our 4 house cats will sometimes get together in an open space and have some playtime too. So there's tons of play that happens, just not with the cheetahs. That's a good question though.
Andrea asked, what are we feeding Elsa?
Andrea asked, what are we feeding Elsa? Elsa's getting some of her favorite food, which, surprise, surprise, is cat food. Now you can use anything when you're training animals. It just has to be something that they really, really like. So this is actually a mushed up version of wet and dry cat food that we make into sort of a paste for easy and quick training morsels. But you can use jerky. A lot of people, when they start training cats to do behaviors, use little things of tuna or really any type of thing or treat that is healthy and tasty for your animals.
And last question, why are cats harder to train than dogs?
Why are cats harder to train than dogs? You know, I think a lot of it has to do with what we expect of them. A lot of times we expect dogs to know how to sit, go lay down, come when they're called, but we give cats sort of a free pass on these things, and we don't expect quite as much out of them, which they take full advantage of. But cats are very smart animals. They're very motivated with the right reinforcer or right treats. Also, something that I think is a challenge is if you look at their basic biology, dogs are social creatures. They really like to be in a pack or be around other people that they like, and they sort of seek the approval of those that they're hanging around, just like we as humans do. We kind of want to have friends and be in a community, whereas cats are more solitary. So they're not necessarily looking for that same affirmation, but cats are still very, very motivated by food, by praise, by physical touch, like pets. So I think that even though it seems like cats are a little bit more difficult to train, they're definitely trainable and definitely very, very smart. Now, one other thing I wanted to mention, since we are talking about Adopt a Shelter Pet Day today, and we're talking about our feline friends, one thing I wanted to mention is the zoo's partnership in the past with the Joni Bernard Foundation. This is a really great organization that not only promotes adopting from your local shelters, but it also talks about responsible pet ownership, and that includes spaying and neutering your cats. That's so important, to spay and neuter your pets, especially house cats. And one of the things that is so important is not only for the cat population, but it's also going to be really important for all of the other critters that share our backyard space. So the Joni Bernard Foundation does fabulous work working in shelters and working with strays to make sure that all of the animals that we share our space with, both the domestics and the native animals, stay safe and healthy. And they work with a lot of local shelters too to make sure that the cats that can be adopted and go into the home, find forever homes and be best friends and companions for us, can do that as well. So they're a great organization, and we love to be able to share their message whenever we talk about our house cats. Now, lastly, as we kind of finish up, I want to tell you guys about the activity that we have that is part of our home safari today, because if you have house cats at home, it's so easy to engage with them and use recycled materials to give them lots of fun, physical and mental stimulating activity, get their brains going, get their bodies going, and you can do it with just a few really simple household materials. So I encourage you guys to check out the craft for today. It's not only going to be fun and enriching for you guys to make, but it's going to be fun and enriching for your pets too. It's made specifically for house cats, but maybe some dogs would like it as well. Or maybe it'd just be fun to make. But we learn a lot about how we use enrichment with our animals here at the Cincinnati Zoo. You've learned a lot about that with all different species of animals through our home safaris. And so it might just be fun to give your own animals at home some enrichment as well. Well, I want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in to the home safari today, and especially on Adopt a Shelter Pet Day. I love being able to share our domestic dog, Remus, and our domestic house cat, Elsa, with you. And I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Elsa wants to say goodbye to you guys really quick. We're here every day making sure that these animals are taken care of, and it's so wonderful to know that we have all of you guys at home supporting what we do, supporting the zoo, and supporting our animals as well. Thank you guys.